Hey everyone, I'm Thousand Star, a teenager from Canada. In this little video, I will guide you through the development process of my game, 8-bit Duels. I've been building this multiplayer strategy game for the past year, and it's really my first complete video game. Before that, I made Minecraft plugins with Java and Discord bots with Python. I've been coding for about 4 years now, in my free time. But enough about where I come from, let's get into the core of this video. 8-bit Duels. First, I'll show you how 8-bit Duels is played. Since this is a turn-based strategy game, it resembles a board game and has a clear set of rules. I will explain them in detail. Second, I will explain how 8-bit Duels was made. Details such as the game engine I used and the protocol between the clients and the server will be addressed. I will also talk about the art for the game and the music. Before we start, I want to mention that this game is fully open source. The link to the source code will be in the description. I also wrote several devlogs in my blog before making this video. The link to my blog will be in the description as well. Alright, let's get into it. So what exactly is 8-bit Duels and how do you play it? In short, it is a multiplayer turn-based strategy game. It is mainly inspired by chess, but has more of a video game vibe in my opinion. Like the name implies, the gameplay loop is a one-on-one against someone from anywhere in the world. Your goal is to bring one of your troops, which can also be referred to as cards, to the other end of the board. The thing is, you can only place your troops up to 4 tiles from your end of the board. They will then need to move up 1 tile at a time to reach the last row. 8-bit Duels also has 2 currencies, spirits and pawns. Spirits are what you spend to spawn a troop. You start the game with 8 of them and get 1 extra per turn. Also, whenever you defeat an enemy troop, you gain half that troop's cost in spirits. Pawns are a different kind of currency. You start the game with 6 of them and lose 1 each time you spawn a troop. Whenever one of your character dies, you gain a pawn instead. Hence, you can never have more than 6 troops on the board at a time. The idea is that you infuse pawns with spirits to create all the troops. Speaking of them, let's take a look at all the cards and their stats. These are the skeleton stats. These are the Reaper stats, and it has the Spirit Collector ability, meaning that whenever you defeat an opponent troop with it, then you get all of that troop's cost in spirits instead of only half like usual. These are the Kraken stats. The multi-attack 3 ability means that it can attack 3 times per turn instead of only once. Here are the Spider stats. It has the stun ability, meaning it stuns any troop that it attacks. A stun troop cannot attack or move while it is stunned. And it will also have a yellow glow around it. Any troop that enters the game is also stunned for 1 turn. Finally, here are the Crow stats. Similarly to the Kraken, it has the multi-attack ability, but only for 2 attacks this time. First, go to the GitHub repository. The link is in the description. Now, see here in the releases, click on this release right here, and then this will bring you to this page. Next, download the appropriate zip file for your operating system and the assets folder, the assets file as well. So I'm on a Mac Silicon, so that's why I'm going to download this one, and also download the assets.zip. If you're on Windows, download this. If you're on Linux, you can build the source code on your own by using the client package here, or the client crate here. And unzip these 2 files. After that, you can just open the client executable and click open, and the game will start. And there you go. Now, in here, there is this address that you need to put in the settings menu in order to play on the server. So by default, it will be set to something else, and set it to this right here to play on the server that I'm hosting. And that's it. You will need an opponent to play. So if you want to play with someone in real life, then you just got to use a different device, because if you start 2 instances on the same computer, then the game will crash. It's an issue with a library that I'm using. When making a game, there's always a lot of decision making involved. One of the most important decisions is what tech stack to use. A tech stack in game development simply means what programming language and what game engine to use. I chose to go with the Rust programming language along with the Bevy engine. While Rust is more of a recent language and doesn't have the notoriety of some of the older ones like C or C++, it is rapidly gaining popularity among the game developer community. This is because it enables programmers to build robust and relatively simple programs that still deliver the performance needed when making games. I had not used Rust before starting this project, and it helped me get familiar with the basics of the language. Going with the Bevy engine was an obvious choice, as it is the most popular in the Rust game dev space. Contrary to more mainstream engines such as Unity, Unreal, or even Godot, Bevy doesn't have an editor. This means all entities in the game have to be spawned in manually using code. This makes the development process much longer, but I really enjoyed the workflow and patterns Bevy forced me to use. It felt refreshing after I had played around with Unity. To quote its website, Bevy is a data-driven engine and has an ECS architecture. ECS means Entity Component System. Essentially, you create entities which can have any amount of components. Components are simply structures of data. The systems then act on the entities based on which components they have. For global data, you can add resources to your game. They act kind of like global variables and can be modified by systems. However, they aren't bound to entities. This is one of the major problems I encountered when working with Unity. Since this is a multiplayer game, I had to implement a robust protocol between the multiple clients and the server. The client and server code are their own separate code bases, which are called crates in Rust terms. There's also a crate called common that includes code used by both the client and the server, things like the stat of cards and all the types of packets. Speaking of packets, they are declared inside Rust enums and sent between the client and server in JSON format. Finally, the art. Thanks to @Nick on Discord for making the skeleton, Reaper,
Kraken,
and spider pixel drawings. I made the main menu background animation as well as the UI elements. For the music, I composed my first ever music track, which you heard at the beginning of this video. I made the chiptune song using the Logic Pro free trial, which has unfortunately run out. Anyway, thanks a lot to my awesome bass teacher for helping me out when making this song. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching the entire video and having a better attention span than the average teenager on TikTok. Now, I know that this game doesn't have the best art and it doesn't compare to modern standards, but I would appreciate it if you gave it a try and give me your thoughts on this small game that I made. The link to the Discord server will be in the description, or you can share your thoughts in the comments on this video as well. Also, if you're wondering, I did try to use AI art.
Generative AI as AI.
And got some pretty good results, but I started at the end of my development process. And at that point, I didn't feel like redoing all of the other assets because I would have had to redo all of the UI assets. So we're stuck with this programmer art for now. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this little video. This has been my first complete video game and my first video on YouTube too. Thank you for watching.